Tonight, I need you to slow down for a moment before your mind tries to rush ahead, because this message is not loud, it is not dramatic, and it is not here to impress you. It is here to reach you quietly, the same way the shift you are going through has been happening, without announcements, without applause, without anyone else fully realizing what you've carried. This must reach you tonight because something is ending, not in a way the world usually celebrates, but in a way your soul recognizes. And if you feel a strange stillness around you right now, almost like time has softened, that's not accidental. There are moments in life when nothing seems to happen on the outside, yet everything changes on the inside. No fireworks, no dramatic turning point others can point to. Just a subtle decision you made, maybe days ago, maybe weeks ago, maybe without even calling it a decision. You chose not to react. You chose not to chase. You chose not to explain yourself. You chose to walk away internally, even if your body stayed in the same place. That choice required quiet courage, the kind of courage that doesn't get likes, comments, or validation. And because of that choice, an old cycle is coming to a close tonight. This is not the kind of ending where something is taken from you. It's the kind where something releases you. For a long time you were carrying an identity that kept asking you to prove yourself, to hold things together, to stay strong, even when no one saw how heavy it felt. You learned how to survive emotionally by staying alert, by staying guarded, by staying ready for disappointment. That version of you did its job. It kept you alive, it kept you moving, it kept you functional, but it was never meant to be permanent. And now, without drama, without force, it is completing its role. You may notice that your thoughts don't hook you the same way they used to. Things that once triggered anxiety, guilt, or urgency feel strangely distant. Not because you don't care, but because you no longer need to suffer to feel in control. That's one of the clearest signs of a quiet spiritual awakening. Not bliss, not constant happiness, but neutrality, space, a pause where reaction used to live. And that pause is powerful. It means you are no longer living entirely from old emotional muscle memory. Tonight marks a point of inner closure, something you kept revisiting in your mind. A conversation, a regret, a what if. A version of yourself you thought you needed to fix is losing its grip. You didn't defeat it, you outgrew it, and growth doesn't announce itself. It happens when your nervous system finally realizes it doesn't need to stay on high alert anymore. When your body understands that the threat has passed, even if your mind hasn't fully caught up yet. This is why it may feel strangely anticlimactic. You might be waiting to feel something big, some confirmation that this shift is real. But awakenings that change your life rarely feel dramatic in the moment. They feel ordinary. They feel like exhaling after holding your breath for years. They feel like choosing rest over rumination. They feel like not needing to explain yourself anymore. And if you're honest, part of you already knows this chapter is over. You just didn't have the language for it until now. What's ending tonight is the version of you that believed growth had to hurt to be valid. The version that thought healing meant revisiting pain over and over until it lost its sting. You are stepping into a phase where wisdom replaces struggle, where awareness replaces effort, where you don't need to force change because change happens naturally when resistance dissolves. And this doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. It means life becomes clearer. You might notice that people around you still operate from urgency, fear, or old patterns. Let them. You are not meant to drag anyone into this shift with you. This awakening is personal. It's internal. It's about learning how to stand in your own energy without needing permission, and that's why it had to happen quietly, Loud transformations invite interference. Quiet ones integrate deeply. Tonight, as this cycle completes, you may feel a sense of finality without sadness, a calm understanding that something has served its purpose. You don't need to grieve it. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to hold a ceremony for it. Simply acknowledging it is enough. Awareness is the closure. Presence is the release. And from here, life begins to respond differently. Not instantly, not magically, but subtly. Opportunities feel more aligned. Decisions feel less forced. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start noticing what feels right. That's not coincidence. That's coherence. That's what happens when you stop living from survival and start living from clarity. If this message found you tonight, trust that it's not random. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe for daily cosmic insights, astrology updates, and spiritual guidance, because the universe always has a message for you. You didn't need motivation. You needed recognition. You needed someone to say, "Yes, what you did mattered," even if no one saw it. And it did. This ending is not punishment. It's permission. Permission to move forward lighter, quieter, and more grounded than before. So don't rush to label what comes next. Don't demand answers from the future. Let this completion settle into your nervous system. Let it integrate into your body. Because the most powerful shifts don't feel like explosions. They feel like peace. And if you're feeling that peace right now, even faintly, that's how you know this cycle is truly ending. As this ending settles in, you may start noticing something subtle but important. Your relationship with time begins to change. You stop feeling like you're racing against it or falling behind it. The urgency softens. Deadlines still exist. Responsibilities still matter, but they no longer define your worth. That constant internal pressure that whispered, "You should be further by now," slowly fades into the background. This is one of the earliest signs that an old cycle has truly closed. When time stops feeling like an enemy, it's because you're no longer trying to escape yourself. You may also realize that certain desires have gone quiet. Not disappeared, but softened. Things you once chased intensely, approval, recognition, being understood, don't carry the same emotional charge. And this can feel confusing at first. The mind asks, "If I'm not chasing, am I giving up?" But the truth is, you're not giving up. You're graduating. You're stepping out of a phase where motivation came from proving something and into a phase where action comes from alignment. This is why it may feel like you're standing in an in-between space. Not who you were, but not fully who you're becoming either. That space can feel empty if you don't understand it. But it's not emptiness. It's integration. It's the pause between breaths. And nothing needs to be forced here. The more you allow this stillness, the more naturally the next direction reveals itself. You didn't lose momentum. You changed frequency. And that's something most people don't recognize until much later. Another sign this awakening is real is the way your emotional reactions are changing. Situations that once would have pulled you into overthinking now pass through you more gently. You still feel things, but you're no longer consumed by them. This doesn't mean you've become detached or numb. It means you've developed perspective. You can witness emotions without drowning in them. And that shift alone changes everything. You might also notice a quiet boundary forming around your energy. You're less available for drama, less interested in repeating old conversations, less willing to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. This isn't arrogance, it's self-respect finally finding its voice. You're learning that not everything deserves your emotional investment, and not everyone is entitled to your inner world. What's ending here is the belief that you must stay connected to what drains you just because it's familiar. Familiar does not mean aligned. And tonight, your system understands that on a deeper level than words. You're not burning bridges, you're simply no longer standing on them. And because this shift happens internally, the outside world may not immediately reflect it. That's normal. Reality always lags behind consciousness, but don't let that make you doubt what you feel. Inner shifts are the cause. External changes are the effect. The delay doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something real is integrating. There's also something important happening with your sense of identity. The labels you once used to define yourself feel thinner now. You're no longer as attached to roles, titles, or past versions of who you thought you had to be. And this can feel unsettling because identity used to give you structure, but now presence is replacing it. You are beginning to experience yourself as awareness rather than a story. You still have a history, but you're no longer trapped inside it. You can look back without being pulled back. That's freedom. And freedom often arrives quietly, disguised as simplicity. This is why forcing excitement or clarity right now would be a mistake. You're not meant to leap forward yet. You're meant to stabilize, to let this new internal baseline settle, to allow your nervous system to learn what calm actually feels like without waiting for something to go wrong. For some people, peace feels unfamiliar at first. If that's true for you, be gentle. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just learning a new way of being. What's closing tonight is the chapter where struggle was mistaken for progress, where exhaustion was worn like a badge of honor, where rest felt undeserved. You don't need to earn your worth anymore. You never did. But now you know it. From this point forward, life begins to respond to you differently because you are responding to life differently. You stop chasing certainty and start trusting clarity. You stop asking for signs and start recognizing alignment. And the most powerful part is this: you don't need to announce this change. You don't need to convince anyone. The people who are meant to recognize it will feel it. The rest don't matter. Tonight is not about becoming someone new. It's about finally releasing who you no longer need to be. That's why this ending feels clean. No chaos, no collapse, just quiet resolution. And that kind of ending creates the strongest beginnings. If you're listening to this and something inside you feels seen, grounded, or unexpectedly calm, let that be enough. You don't need to understand everything right now. Understanding will come later. For now, allow yourself to rest inside this completion, because what ends tonight does not take anything from you. It gives you yourself back.